Hey everyone, welcome to DokusCore. My name is Dokus, and today we're going to talk about version 0.6.2. As we are already at 0.6.3, I'm gonna keep this video short, so let's go straight into it. To start off, I'm going to do some quick mentions. On DokusCore, we have added all the config for the new plugins into DokusCore itself. We also have updated all the config files for the already existing plugins to work with the new update. As we are also looking at a boats script, we have added the API to grab the information for boats, setting information for boats, inserting and deleting. So those API calls are made inside DokusCore now for the handling the database. As we now also have clothing, we also have the API calls for that, and we also have the API calls for the character outfits. So just like the boats, you can grab, insert and delete and set your outfit and clothing. I have made the API calls for the scratch cards and the jackpot. This is something new that I'll show you in a moment, but those API calls are made also. So if you are a developer and you want to use this API, you are possible to do so. In the database itself, there was an entry on the characters table called birthday that has been changed to age. Because of the new skin creator, it's not actually asking your birthday, it's asking your age. So that has been changed in the database. The API call that you can use for letting NPCs talk has been changed a little bit. An extra parameter has been added. The parameters are: first, node talk NPC is the function name itself. Then the first entry that you're going to do is going to be the title of the box. So often that's going to be the name of the NPC that's talking to you. In some cases it's going to be the tailor, otherwise the general store, the banker, and go on like that. Then you are going to say true or false. Now that is the extra parameter that we have added in. If it's set to true, then the parameter that comes next to it is the time. So you have the title, the description, then true or false, so do we wait or not, and then you have the last parameter is the time in milliseconds. If you set the second last parameter to true, that means that the message, the script, will wait for the message to be ended before the rest of the script continues. So true will make the script halt and wait for the message to disappear. With false, it will just continue and go on with the script. We already had an API call to fetch all characters in the database with a specific Steam ID. You can now also fetch on all characters that are in the database. And it doesn't need a Steam ID or a character ID. It fetches everything in that table. So that is also new. And now for the next step, the multi-characters. If we go to RedM, the characters that now walk into your campsite will have their clothing loaded. Keep in mind guys, this is not a bug, but it can happen at the first time you start the server and the first time you join your own server or somebody else, that the clothing is not applied correctly or at all to your character, so your character stays naked. This is not a bug, this is because your skin needs to be loaded and it loads into memory. And it could just be that one of the hashes, one of the changes that you have made to the default character, that it takes longer to load it into memory or to fetch the hash ID before it can be loaded. And this clothing tried to load 3 seconds after the skin starts loading. We have done that to minimize the time that the character needs to reset for 2 reasons. First, you don't want to stay naked for like half a minute before your clothing loads, but also the skin needs to load fast because you don't want to be running around 10 seconds to 15 seconds invisible, as players can abuse this to stab or shoot somebody while they can't see them. So the skin has 3 seconds to load, then the clothing loads. Could just be that your character stays naked in the multi-character screen. It happens to me sometimes, but other servers reported to me that it doesn't happen to them. So it could be it happens to you, just know it ain't a bug. We're going to fix later on how the skin is loaded and the clothing, but skin and clothing loading in RedM is quite a hassle by itself. One parameter has to be off and the whole damn thing doesn't work. Or you get spaghetti arms or all that kind of stuff. I did rewrote the whole loading of the character and the clothing so it works a lot better and a lot faster, but if the skin takes longer time to load, it could just be it affects the clothing. Though if you click on your character and you go into game, so imagine that this character is naked at this right moment, it does load your skin and clothing correctly the moment you get into the game. If it doesn't, you can use the core menu to reset your clothing. So if I would open the core menu and I go into the character options and then we go into skin menu, load clothing. You can see I am now naked for 3 seconds and then the clothing loads, and it loads quite nice. So that is the new multi-character screen. It now loads your clothing. We have also changed the way how NPCs react to you in game. They can recognize your gender, so right now I am a male, and if I walk into this store I will be greeted as a male. Right now he says, "How is my day today, sir?" If you're a woman, he can say madam or my lady. So that's a new thing in DokusCore. You can let the NPCs react to you depending on what gender you are. If I go to the editor for a moment, you can see here that what we have done is we put a gender in front of the text itself, and then the time that the message displays. So you have more flexibility than what we have before. If I would go to the core, for example, you will have just these single lines like this, or you will have a array like this that it will just pick something random out of, but you have no degree of freedom in how you want to change it in gender or time. So with the clothing now, you have a ability to change it to a specific gender, at the time, and then what it will say. So for example here it will say, "Yee boy, welcome to the store, sir. Am I glad to see you?" But if I go look at the female's response, that also starts with, "Yee boy, welcome to the store," and then he says, "Oh, my excuse, my lady, I was overexcited." So you can get the NPCs to act a little different to a female than to a male. And for the next stop, I kind of spoiled it already a little bit, but the clothing store, it's added to the game. This video is a little later than we actually brought out 0.6.2, so if you have the server you probably already noticed, but it has been added to the game. If I go into the store, the NPC will greet me. I can walk up to here, have to wait until he asks me, "How may I help you?" You have two different choices. So one is outfits, and then you have the open menu. So let's do the outfits first. Go to my outfits, and here I have Baba J. That is what I'm currently wearing, and the default outfit. Let's say I select default outfit and I say yes. Your character will automatically walk up to here. This is basically cinematic again. Fades out for a moment, comes back in, and then you have the, well, in this case, for me, it would be the default clothing that you start with. Alright, back in style, so let's change the clothing for a moment. If we come here and we hit E, then the NPC will say something random, and he will start walking and I will start walking. This is all automated again. The NPC will actually also comment on your clothing. This happens every 30 seconds. A dice will be rolled. You can set the interval, or at least the min-max. And if for example, the max is 20, it takes half of it. What is 10? The dice gets rolled. If it rolls at number 10, he will say something. So sometimes it could be less, sometimes it could be more, sometimes he says nothing at all. So I can change my gun belt here, and if I switch back, you see I get the exact same one. The moment we open this menu, just before that, we grab the information out of the database and we set the clothing within this menu, the sliders, at the exact positions of the clothing that you have on. So if I change my coat and come back, I have the same coat. so it won't be all be set at 0 or at 1. It will have the correct values. First, we have to give a credit to RedM RP because we are using their HTML UI window. Though the rest behind it, the code behind it, the way we load the clothing is completely remade. Something else that we have done in this menu, let's say I change my code just quickly and I click exit, my original clothing that I had gets reloaded. So you cannot just get some new clothing, run away. So now back in the clothing menu, and let's say I'm going to stay sitting here, I'm not doing anything, I'm just looking around, scrolling around, or I'm going AFK and I'm sitting here in this menu. While the NPC is not behind his desk, he cannot help a different player. He or she that wants to get help from this NPC gets a message that he's busy and that they have to wait for a moment. So if somebody goes AFK in this menu, nobody else can use it, and they basically deny access for a long time. That's not going to happen. There is just like you can see now, that the tailor says, like, I have more things to attend to, more customers to attend to. So if you wait too long with choosing a slider, choosing a outfit, the timer starts counting up. By default, it's set to 60 seconds. And if you didn't made any changes to your character within that 60 seconds, you will be kicked out of the menu, reset to your default clothing that you had on you, and the NPC walks back to its desk. You can control that in the config, you can set it lower or higher, but the 60 seconds do get reset whenever you click a slider and set it to a new item. So then it gets reset each and every time you do that. But as long as you do not click any sliders, 60 seconds later, you will be booted out of the menu. The NPC goes back and somebody else can, go into the menu and do their clothing. Last thing to mention in the clothing menu, let's say if you pick a different coat, I click save, and then I click yes without filling anything into this box. I will get an error saying that if I do not save it with a name, it will not be saved to the outfits. Am I sure? Do I really want to do that? Because you can still get this clothing, you still have to pay for it in a later version, of course, but you still have to pay for it. But you cannot save it. So the moment you're going to change it again later on, you won't be able to use it again. So let's say I just give it a name, then I click yes. And he will just comment on that. I will get my new clothing. And then he says, fine choice that you made. And then a second later, he says that, I'm standing too close. So he's saying he's busy with a different customer. That's what I told you before. But your outfit will be delivered into the dressing room as soon as possible. What I want to be doing is that whenever you pick your clothing, you accept it, you basically get the same clothing back that you had on. And then the tailor will say to you that he will go to work and make your clothing. Later on, you will just get a telegram that your outfit is ready and you can come pick it up. Right now, you get the clothing automatically and you also don't have to pay for it yet. That will be for a future version. For the Metabolism script, we have fixed the issue that you would instantly die whenever your water or food was depleted. It was not deducing your health anymore and you would instantly drop to the ground. That is fixed, so if your water or food is drained, then you will get, I think it's 1 damage per second onto your health. You have at default, if your host of the server did not change it, 150 points, giving you around 2.5 minutes to do something about it before you die. Also, what we have done is whenever you reload your skin, your health was always set to 50 points. So out of the 150, it was set back to 50 points, so you have a heart. What we have done is we have recorded the amount of health that you had before you change your clothes. Then whenever you change your clothes or reset your skin, we apply that same amount of health back to the health that you have at that current time. So your health gets reset to the values that you had before you resetted the skin. Next up, world edits, because we have changed quite some in the world itself. So if we go to RedM and we're going to zoom out on the map, you're going to see multiple new icons. For example, this one. No, not that one. This one. Nakota Native Camp. So we have added native camps to the map for those that actually want to have native roleplay. We also have the Lakota native camp here. We have a camp down here somewhere. Not all camps, by the way, are set on the map. So there are more than that you see on the map. That is the Apache, or if I butcher that name, native camp, I don't know. But those are pointed on the map. There are a couple more, but we see them as Easter eggs. You have to find them yourself. I'm also not going to show you them. You can do that yourself. Just wanted to mention out, we had a couple of native camps added to the map. Also, there are small little camps all over the map that are already inside the game, and we're going to later use that for territory control domination for clans and tribes. But it's already in the map. Those will not be listed in this map view, so you won't see them here, but they are on the map itself. You have to find them. So for Mexico right here, it was a separate plugin before, but this is actually also a map edit. So what we have done is we have removed the Mexico repository from GitHub, and we placed the YMap files from Mexico in the world edit also. We have also made a new plugin for you guys called Scratch Cards. So again, if I go to the game and I open my inventory, then you can see here you have a scratch card thing here. If I click on that, you're gonna have this, and you can actually with your mouse scratch it. So right now I won $0.2. Yay! Now you can go to a bank and actually claim that money. But this is a way for you to earn or lose money. How servers going to use this is up to them. For the usable items, if we go to the database quickly, we have changed the way a item can work. So we have inserted a new row, what's called use event, and you can set this to true or false. If it's set to true, if you come all the way at the back here, you can see that there is a tab called event. Then you can put a event in here. So this is going to be an event that is going to be called within a script. If you set use event to true, the animation will be ignored and the event will be executed. If you want to pass any of this information through to the event, you can put that in the meta behind it. But now developers and server owners have an extra way of using an item. Instead of just using an animation or using the metabolism, you can now also let it execute an event. And last but not least, some couple small mentions. The core menu we have fixed. The Discord invite link button is working again, as well as the updates and guidelines button. We have added the interaction button for the banks to sell the scratch cards. For the NPC menu at the bank, we have added a button to sell your scratch cards. And that basically sums it up for version 0.6.2. If you like this video and it helped you a lot with the updates on what has been changed, please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, as we need 100 subscribers to reach the custom URL for YouTube. If you want to help us in different ways, you can always boost our Discord server, but most of all debugging service and letting us know the bugs that you find so we can fix them as soon as possible. If you find a bug, however, make sure that you know that this one is not already reported, if it's actually a bug or not, so please ask on the chat first. And if you report it, please report it in as much detail as possible. Without the details, it would be very hard for us to replicate the bug, and we need to be able to replicate it in order to know what is happening and find what the solution is. So if you do gonna give us a bug report, please give us as much details as possible. Keys you pressed before, menus that you opened, places where you just went before, what did you do just before and what happened and how it happened, things like that. Everything that you can let us know is valuable to us for finding and fixing this bug. I want to wish you a great evening, midday or morning, depending on your location. And of course, as always, enjoy the server, enjoy this new update, and until the next video.